lecture soon. So please turn on your camera. Okay, morning all. Thank you for attending the lecture on Saturday. I know that you have a lot of better things to do on Saturday. That's why I decided to have this class fully online rather than you visited the campus. But you know, our faculty and our university decided that we have to replace the public holiday last Monday. So here we are. Okay, so I'll make it brief. Let me check first. I think, yeah, yeah, you all already submitted your assignment on time. Thank you for that. The presentation for that assignment will be held on Monday, so not today. Okay, so I just want you to today to listen to whatever I would like to say today. Okay, I try to not to put too much burden on you on Saturday. Okay, I know I don't like it, so I assume that you don't like that either. But anyway, okay, so you have learned by yourself on the previous lecture about expenditure cycle, where a company purchase product and services for themselves. Okay, so the reason I can put that as a self-study session is because it's just similar to revenue cycles in terms of activities, just from different perspective. Okay, so but I will add some notes on that. First, that if you look at the Indonesian corruption cases, quite a few, if I'm not saying plenty of them, related to this cycle, especially the purchase of product and services. In business world, the purchase of product and services for an organization is called procurement. Okay, to procure something. Okay, why? Why it's become a very fertile ground for fraud and corruption? If you look at the process of selecting supplier for product or services, I think you will be understand the reasons. Many suppliers would like for any organization to select their products. It means revenue for them. So in order to win the competition, they are willing not only rely on the quality and price of their product and services, but also other, well, let's say gray area effort, you know, from, starting from, small enough, like giving free samples, for example, or if you probably heard some rumors few years ago that doctors often prescribe medicines sold by a certain pharmacy company, and as the reward, the pharmacy company will give the doctors a lot of benefits like free vacation, free products, or some money, like a commission. In a tender for procurement, like if you want to buy, if a company want to buy cars, for example, there would be tender perhaps. So each car sellers would try to win the tenders, bribing the tenders committee, things like that. And that's happened a lot. A few of Indonesian corruption cases in government institution related to this part of business cycles. So, and a lot of people that held this position in either private or public institution will also face this kind of challenge, if you may. You know, that suppliers try to bribe you for their product to be selected, even though perhaps the quality is not that good. Okay. In Atmajaya, we also have this kind of unit. It's called the in Indonesia perbekalan or inventory department actually, but their function is for purchasing products and services needed by Atmajaya in general. And when I was student, there was a rumor, like I said, rumor that the head of perbekalan office had more luxurious home than the rector of Atmajaya. But then again, it's rumor. Okay, it's probably started by jealous people. But in many cases, that's not something that impossible. That's quite probable. It could happen. Why? Because of corruption, obviously. But you cannot accuse people of any wrongdoing without solid evidence. Now, the Indonesian government have been trying for quite a few years to make the public procurement, the procurements of product and services by Indonesian government to be more transparent and accountable. For example, starting from the plan. So for each government institution, either its ministry, its local government, or any other government, any institution, each year they will announce what kind of product and service they will procure for that fiscal years. How many computers they would buy, what type of computers they require. They do not allowed to name brand, but they allowed to announce the specification. Okay, how many reams of papers they need, and they will purchase for. So starting from the plan, the public already knew, and it's open. That data usually open. Yeah, you can get that data, and then for some products, it will be already available on government e-catalog. So any government institution need papers, for example, just select whatever paper they like or they need from pre-selected supplier. There is one institution is called the National Procurement Agency, or LKPP in Indonesia, that responsible for selecting supplier. They sign a contract with the Indonesian government to provide product and services for the catalog. So once the product get into the Indonesian government catalog, any government agencies could purchase from that catalog. Select whatever they need, and then click purchase. Okay, it's as simple as office supplies, paper, pens, until as complicated as cars or buses. Okay, so for cars, the government doesn't need to help tender for that. Okay, any government agencies would like to buy cars or motorcycle, just need to select from the catalog. And that saves a lot of money. Why? Because the selection only being done once nationally. And then they can just purchase it. Just like when it's similar to the process that you purchase products from marketplace like Tokopedia or Bukalapak or Shopee. Similar like that. A bit different, but in principle similar. Okay. And then for tenders, they also announce the tenders openly. they will announce also the, what do you call it, the selection criteria, and only the best supplier can win. And even if when one supplier has been selected as the winner of the tender, other suppliers who lose could apply for objection, and then the government will investigate. So I would say that the Indonesian government already have some kind of systems and regulation for clean and transparent procurement. And the government has this policy that as much as possible, all the government agencies should buy Indonesian product and also should buy from small business rather than big business. But small business could not sell cars. But if a small business provide with, say, cleaning service, then they should be selected rather than the big business. But that's just suggestion. Okay, so with this kind of transparency and accountability, the government wish to have a better procurement process, less corruption, and the public could see what the government or how the government spend taxpayer money. Okay, so that's a start. Okay, and it's not an easy process. Outside from the obvious resistance from bad actors, but the process of creating a procurement system itself is not simple. Why? Because Indonesia is so diverse. Okay, you can buy anything easily in Jogja, for example, but for the same item, it will be so expensive in Papua. You can buy pecel lele here in Jogja for less than 20,000 rupiah, but in Balikpapan it would cost you more than 50,000. So that's a problem. Okay, that's a challenge that should be dealt by Indonesian government and also Indonesian people. But it's a start. I mean, government already have announcement or information open to the public about procurement plans. They have open catalog. You can open the government catalog and see what's product in it. Okay. So if your local government buying something from that catalog, you knew that, oh yeah, that's in the catalog. That's the best product and services that government agency can buy. Okay. And also if they procure something larger like aeroplane or building roads, then there is tender. However, in the world of procurement internationally, it's not always easy to have transparent and also a fair procurement process. Why? Because for some products, there are restrictions. There are only limited suppliers. Remember earlier this year when the Russian and Ukrainian conflict escalated into an open war? Originally, the government of Indonesia want to buy fighter planes from Russia. But then the government of Indonesia had political pressure from the US and also Western countries not to buy Russian product because the international world put a economic sanction to Russia. And despite all the economical benefits, political costs of buying Russian fighter plane probably will be bigger for Indonesia. So I think that then the government of Indonesia decided not to buy from Russia, but instead buying from France. Okay. Now, in terms of expenditure cycle, purchasing product and services, the focus should be the lower cost. Lowering costs or get the lowest cost possible. But it's not the cost of purchase. The principle or the term that being used is the total cost of ownership or TCO. It means the cost to purchase or buying that product, owning, using, and then later discarding that product. It should be the lowest. Let me give you this example. A few years ago, when we still have, taxis, a lot of taxis companies in Indonesia, there were some taxis companies in Yogyakarta that buying Korean-made car. Yeah. And then a few years after that, they renew their fleet and using Japanese car. So one day, I arrived in that taxi and I asked the driver, why did your company change from Korean car to Japanese car? The cost or the price of Korean car is much cheaper than Japanese car. Okay. For the same, for similar cars. Okay. And then the driver said, yeah, it's cheaper, but Korean cars usually need substantial spare part replacement on their first year. While the Japanese car, as long as you have regular maintenance service, you don't have to change anything in the first year. So from the perspective of cost for the first years, it's cheaper to have Japanese car, although the purchase price is higher. Okay. Another example. One of my friend, my university friend, we were graduating at almost the same time. After graduating from Atmajaya, he worked for a bus company. So one day he calculated for bus tires. Any transportation companies usually need a lot of tire change. So the option was usually buying entirely or completely new tires or have their old tires vulcanized. They will put another new layer of rubber. The initial cost was cheaper for vulcanized tire rather than buying a completely new tires. But then my friend conducted some calculation, and at the end, it will be much cheaper to buy a new tire. Why? Because when you buy a new tire, in the first few months, there will be less prone to puncture tires because the rubber is still quite new, still quite tough, But with old revulcanized tire, the tire itself is already old, so it's prone to puncture. And the cost of patching punctured bus tires is not cheap. Second, apparently, the incident where the tire blew up was less in new tires compared to old revulcanized tires. So it's much safer for the companies. At the end of the day, it's much cheaper to buy new tires. Another example. Okay, fuel. Okay, so it's when we still have premium and Pertamax fuel at the time. Okay, so this was many years ago. So when the Indonesian president was Pak SBY, so the government sell premium fuel and Pertamax fuel. So one day, somebody actually calculating which is cheaper per kilometer using premium fuel or Pertamax. So if filled his it's his car full with premium fuel couple of times and then drive regularly, like normally go to work, return to home, have a meals and things like that. And then he calculated how many kilometers per tanks fuel of premium fuel could be used. And then he emptied the fuel tanks, replaced that with Pertamax. At the end, he calculated for Pertamax, it cost him about 1,500 rupiah per kilometer. Okay. And do you know how much it costs if you use premium? 2,000 rupiah. So it's per kilometer, it's much more expensive to use premium rather than Pertamax. Why? Because with Pertamax, the power of the car will be higher. So it doesn't need to push the accelerator as deep as when he used premium car. And also he calculated the cost of maintenance. Okay. It's cleaner and better for the engine if you use Pertamax. So this is the factors that you need to consider when you purchase something for your organization. It may be cost you a little bit more initially, but in the long run, it will be cheaper. Okay. Now, that's the things that I would like to convey regarding our topic last week. Any question about expenditure, purchasing, or procurement? Okay, that's fine. Now let's get into the topic for today, production cycle. I'm aware that you can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Can you? Okay, good. Thank you. So you are now enrolling in cost accounting course, right? Cost accounting subject, right? Okay, who's your lecturer for that subject?
Ma'am Stephen.
Oh, Bu Anas. Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's good. When I was a student, I had Bu Wiwi as the lecturer for cost accounting. Okay, anyway. So with cost accounting, we try to calculate the cost of producing product or delivering a service, right? Okay, and that's the essence of production cycles. Okay, so these are four main activities in production cycles: product design, production planning and scheduling, production operations, and cost accounting. Obviously, as accountant, you will involve in the last process, which is cost accounting. However, in reality, you will be involved with all the process. Okay, I'll explain to you later. But yeah, it's very important, especially for a company that want to try to sell the product at a certain cost range or price range. They control the cost. Okay, not everybody can splurge money, or not everybody have unlimited source of fund to buy Ferrari, for example. So cars company need to keep the cost down. Not everybody could enjoying lobster every day. So not every restaurants could buy lobsters for their patrons. Okay? So that's why all the other three processes need to be controlled. Okay, product design, planning, scheduling, and production operation. Okay, from accounting perspective, I'll explain to you later. Okay, so these are the relation between revenue cycle, production cycle, expenditure cycles, human resource management payroll cycles, and general ledger and reporting system. Okay, so for examples, with the revenue cycles. You remember the revenue cycles. Okay? The production cycle will produce or will create some product based on these two information. It's either sales forecast or customer order. Sales forecast, for example, for let's see, textile company. Okay, textile company, especially that specialize in uniform textiles, school uniform. They will wrap up their production near the start of academic years, right? Because of a lot of new students will go into the new school and they will need new uniforms. Okay, so the sales forecast will tell the revenue cycles how many units of product they can sell. Then that information will be translated to how many units of product need to be produced by production cycles. That's sales forecast. Okay, the better the forecast, the more precise the production cycles can create the product. Okay, but not all company can use sales forecast. For example, restaurant. If you go to say bakso place, okay, you will not see. Oh, no, bakso is a bad example. Noodles place, you will not see noodle dishes already prepared and you just pick up a bowl and eat it. No. Okay. For a noodle restaurant, you need to make an order, and then the chef or the cook will cook the noodles as per your order, and that's the customer order. Okay, so after knowing how many products need to be created based on customer order or sales forecast, the production cycle then send purchase requisition to expenditure cycle. Please give me this much raw material or this many raw materials for production, or get me new machine for production, or get new vehicles for production or whatever. Okay, and then the expenditure cycle will buy that and give it to them. After finishing the product, it will be calculated. The finished good will be delivered to revenue cycle to be sold to customer. The cost of goods manufactured, production cost will be reported to general ledgers. Okay. Now with the human resource, there will be labor needs. Look, I need 5 cooks, 3 waiters for cleaning service for this catering, for example. So they ask human resource to recruit new employee, and then it will be delivered to them and calculated as labor cost. Okay. So what are the general issues in production sector? Obviously, inaccurate data, unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information, like, you know, somebody leaked the 17 spices for KFC fried chicken, Kentucky fried chicken, you know, for KFC recipe, loss or destruction of data, things like that. But that's generic. Okay, let's start with the first step, which is product design. With product design, you try to fulfill customer requests on the on one side, but also try to keep the cost of creating that product to the capability of customer to buy it. Like I said, nobody actually can afford to buy Ferrari or Rolls Royce. Okay, but people who bought Avanza or people who bought Agia Ayla, obviously they want something like Rolls Royce, but you know, not everybody can afford it. So they have to balance that customer requirements, cost of producing that product. Okay, so for example, that's why if you buy Innova, for example, it will have thicker steel for their body compared to Agya or Ayla, because Innova is much more expensive than Agya or Ayla. Okay, the engine, it will be bigger and more powerful for Innova compared to Agya and Ayla. Why? Because the requirements. Agya and Ayla can probably take comfortably, probably for small people. Okay, but with Innova, it's much bigger capacity. So again, customer requirement and cost. People who buy Innova wouldn't mind pay a few hundred million rupiah for that cars. People who buy Agya and Ayla wouldn't be able to buy Innova. So balancing those requirement and cost is the act here. Okay. Then the result of product design would be the bills of material. This is all the materials needed to create one unit of product, and also operations list. This is all the steps need to be done to create that product. So if you look at this like cooking recipe, bills of material is the ingredients, and operation list is how to cook and prepare them. So there are ingredients and how to cook. That's bill of materials and operation list. So where accountant get involved, starting from this stage, the accountant need to calculate how much the cost of creating one unit product based on this design. Okay. Say for example, if you create Agya, if I'm not mistaken, Agya and Ayla body panel only have a still like 0.6 millimeter thick, so it's quite thin. Okay. If you want to make it with 1.1 millimeter steel, it will cost much more expensive. So the accountant need to inform. Okay, but sometimes if the accountant cutting costs too much, it will affect the quality and safety of the product. Okay, so they need to balance that also. Cutting costs is fine, but sacrificing safety and quality probably not. Okay. Let me give you another harmless examples. If a fast food restaurant want to sell chicken nugget, the chicken nugget, the bill of material creating chicken nugget, I don't think there will be a problem with it. Okay, you can get reasonably priced chicken, you can make a nugget of it. Then the operation list, how long should it be cooked? Okay. If it's 5 minutes, it's still raw. How about 15 minutes? Oh, 15 minutes is perfect. It's fully cooked. Okay, but frying something 15 minutes costs a lot of money. So how about if we cook for 10 minutes? If we fry the chicken nugget for 10 minutes instead of 15, is it still as good as 15 minutes? If it's still as good and as safe as 15 minutes, then 10 minutes would be an improvement. It costs less, shorter time, okay, but still safe and healthy to be consumed. Okay, so that's where the accountant involved. Another examples, for example, if you create a cabinet, a wardrobe, the outer could be made from thick wood or mahogany that looks good and expensive, but the back part, which usually will be facing walls and nobody will see it, could be made from some cheaper woods instead of full mahogany, which will be very expensive. Okay. And that's where the accountant need to find a way to cut costs without sacrificing quality and also safety of the product. Then after we have the design ready, we need to make plan and schedule for production. There are two different approaches for production planning. The first one is manufacturing resource planning. This is the one that based on forecasting or sales forecast. So we will forecast that in July, we will produce 10,000 units. So the production cycles will produce 10,000 units in July. Okay. Lean manufacturing, on the other hand, this is the one approach where the production will start after the customer order. You can find it manufacturing in Japanese car manufacturer in Indonesia. If you want to buy Innova, for example, you can just go to any Toyota dealer and look, I have this money. I want the latest or the newest Innova. No, you can't do it. You need to order. And then the order, this one, the order will be sent to the manufacturing plant, and they will put that into the production schedule. Okay. Later, I will show you the video. It's quite old, but I couldn't find the newest version about how order planning, scheduling, and production being done in modern manufacturing company. Okay, so the document for planning and scheduling that being produced is production order. This is an authorization letter to authorize the production department or the manufacturing department to create X unit of products. This is an order. Okay, so please make 10,000 units of our product, and then based on production order, the production department will create materials requisition, goes to warehouse or to the inventory and asking for materials to create 10,000 units of product. And then there is a move ticket. Each unit of product probably will have different features and will go through different departments. So they need some kind of identification, which one is which. For example, if I order a chair and somebody else order table, there should be an identification for the wood that being used, which one should be for chair ordered by me and which one for table ordered by somebody else. I'll give you that example in the film later. Okay, so what's the threat and challenges here? First, poor product design resulting in excess cost. Like I said, sometimes because the accountant, a member of product design team, try to cut costs aggressively, or even if the management try to reduce costs as much as possible, it could result in poor quality product that can endanger the safety of the customer. Case in point, there are two. Samsung Galaxy Note 7. So in the old days, Samsung usually have two flagship products, the top of the line, the Galaxy S series and Galaxy Note series. Curiously, Galaxy Note usually being released close to the date of Apple releasing their latest iPhone. So at that time, Samsung pushed the production department to immediately release Galaxy Note 7, while the design phase have not been completed yet. So they rushed to production planning, scheduling, and then to the production itself. And the result was, because of the flaw in components and design, which is the battery and charging part, Samsung Galaxy Note 7 become flawed product. Some of them being emanating heat excessively, some of them being burned, and even in some cases explode. So Samsung has to recall all those Galaxy Note 7. That's cost them quite a lot. Okay. Another example, remember just before the pandemic, one of the airplane owned by Lion Air having accident. It was a brand new plane from Boeing, 737 MAX. Okay. So what happened? Apparently, it's because of poor product design. Boeing added some new software into that new planes without retrain the pilots. So the software was designed to stabilize the plane, but it fails. So when the computer decided to make the nose of the plane going down and the pilot try to fire it, it fails. That's why it hit the ground or the sea in case of fire. Okay. Why? Because Boeing thought the new software will make the plane better, but they failed to tell the pilot that there is a new software. And apparently the software doesn't work as expected. And that's why product design and also testing is very, very important in any product development. Okay, another threat is over or underproduction. Overproduction means, especially with the manufacturing resource planning, production based on forecast. Overproduction means you will have excess inventory, and excess inventory equal to cost. Underproduction means that you cannot meet the demand, not because of you don't have the capacity, but because you misjudge the demand. So what's the risk? You will lose the sales potential. You could not sell the product as much as it should. You lost revenue. Okay, so production operations. This is where the plan and schedule being executed. What's the threats here? Inventory theft, somebody picking up, some of the inventory. Fixed asset theft, stealing the machine. Poor performance. You should be able to produce 10,000 units of product, but you only be able to produce 8,000. Okay, so why this poor performance? What's wrong? Okay, perhaps because of the engine broke down, machine broke down. Why the machine broke down? Is it because the quality of the machine or because of the quality of the maintenance? So again, you cannot cut costs on certain aspect of company. If you want to cut costs, cut somewhere else. Don't cut on maintenance because it will be dangerous. Okay? Suboptimal investment in fixed asset. You purchase the cheapest machine you have. You hire the cheapest labor you can get. My PhD supervisor used to say, "You pay peanut, you get monkey. If you pay cheap, you'll get low quality products. That's it." Okay. Loss of inventory or fixed asset due to fire or disaster. Okay, and disruption of operation. Earlier this year, after we recover from the Omicron, there were a crisis in all over the world. What is it? Logistic crisis. During the pandemic, a lot of transportation, ships, truck, airplane, they laid off they reduced their capacity, laying off some people. And then now when the business pick it up after the pandemic, a lot of those people who being laid off already find a new job. There are probably enough ships, enough trucks, enough airplane to carry out all those products, but not enough people to operate them. Now, cost accounting, obviously, this is where you calculate and provide information about the cost of goods sold, the value of the inventory, and so on and so forth. It's crucial to provide accurate information so the management could decide how much the selling price they can fix to the product. Okay. Sometimes the cost of production will be vastly different from the selling price. For example, if I'm not mistaken, iPhone X, when it went to market in 2017, Apple sold it for 1,000 US dollar. But the cost of production is just about 400 US dollars. So there is 600 US dollars margin. So no wonder Apple currently is the highest value company in the world. They're the first company that crossing 1 trillion US dollars value. Why? Because their product is high margin. Okay, but regardless of the selling price, the management need to know exactly or as accurate as possible how much it costs to create one unit of product. And then when they decided to sell it excessively expensive, or they sell it at cost, or they sell it under the cost, they make that decision with sufficient information. Okay, it is fatal, for example, to sell product. And we actually, we and I, a few years ago, we actually find this case. So a company sell their product at cost, So let's say they have 10,000 rupiah production cost, and then they sell the product 10,000. So it's just enough to cover production cost. But then at the end of the day, after they calculated all the actual costs and also all the actual revenue, they find out even though they sell that product at cost 10,000, they actually still gain profit from that sale. So what does it mean? It means they don't have accurate cost of production data. Apparently, their production cost is too high. And that's cost them losing to the competitor, because competitor can offer similar quality product but with cheaper price. Okay. Cost accounting. Okay. So, any question before I continue with the movie that I promised you? No question yet? Oh, William, you want to ask question?
Yeah, I'm really confused how about the production cycle for like Grab and Gojek. I just thinking about it and I don't find it. I'm so sorry, sir.
Because because Grab and Gojek is not a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Production cycle is only for manufacturing company. It's not for service company. So you will not find that in Gojek or Grab or even in bank, because they are service company, not manufacturing. Okay. So if you can't find it, well, you're right. You will not. Okay. The other term, if it's for manufacturing company, it will be called production cycle or production management, because you involved in creating a product. But for service company, it calls operation management. Okay, but that's a topic for another time. Okay, but yeah, you're right, William. There will be no manufacturing or production cycle for Gojek or Grab, because they are not manufacturing company. But if you look at, say, our example, Dell computer, you'll find it. Okay. Any other question? Okay. So what I will play for you is an old video from Dell computers. It's not really applied in Indonesia because Dell has different model in Indonesia. But in the US, in Australia, in UK, in Europe, Dell has this model called made to order. So Dell doesn't have computer shops. They don't sell their product in the shops. Well, maybe in the US now they sell it in Best Buy, but you couldn't find it like Apple have Apple Store. There is no Dell Store. Dell only have a showroom, a kiosk or a store that they display their latest product and technology, but they couldn't. You couldn't buy it from there. If you want to buy Dell product, you have to go to Dell website and order it from there. Okay, let me show you the examples. This one, for example. So this is the Dell order forms. Okay. This is Dell ordering system. You select, say, this one, customize and buy. So this is the model that Dell started, initialized, but now is being adopted by other companies. So with this model, you can customize your order, albeit limited. For example, for processor, they only offer these 5 different options. You can pick anything else. Okay, operating system, they will offer these 2. You can you can buy this with Linux, for example. Graphic cards, they only offer 2 brands, either NVIDIA with GeForce RTX or AMD Radeon RX graphics, nothing else. Okay, with NVIDIA, there are 8 different options. With AMD, there are only 2 different options. Okay, memory, there are 2 different options. Hard drive, dual drive. Case color, you can select whether it's dark or lunar light, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the okay. Let's play the video. Tell me if you can hear the sound. Okay, if you can't hear the sound, well, tell me either way.
Thank you for your interest in Dell and welcome.
Can you hear the sound? Okay, good. So this is Michael Dell. This is the founder of Dell Computers. He started his business when he was a college student from his dorm room. So he used to sell computer by order. So somebody will order custom built computer and he will find components for that computers and assemble that computer and give it to the customer. Okay, let's continue.
Welcome to our virtual manufacturing tour. When we started Dell, I challenged our manufacturing teams to think differently and create a process that would provide delivered to stock speed with build to order efficiency and effectiveness. This has become an integral part of the Dell Direct model. What this means for you is that we don't build anything until you order it, which allows us to deliver exactly the product that you want with the support you need for the lowest total cost of ownership. I hope you enjoy this virtual tour, which highlights the best practices of our global fulfillment network. And thank you for choosing Dell.
Dell's global fulfillment network consists of facilities strategically located across the globe. This capability includes manufacturing centers for assembly of custom configured computing products, fulfillment centers to ensure rapid delivery of dissimilar items and to provide additional technology rollout services. This is Dell's global fulfillment network. All of Dell's manufacturing centers use the same processes enabled by the same systems and are measured the same way. This ensures consistent award-winning quality across our global network and allows us to identify and implement best practices. Now, let's see how these manufacturing centers operate. Our build-to-order model was designed to build your order exactly as you need it. Your order is routed to the manufacturing center closest to your ship-to destination. At that point, the order is electronically transferred from Dell's order management system to the manufacturing scheduling system, where all orders...
Okay, so remember I showed you the Dell ordering form. This order will be sent to the nearest Dell manufacturing plant from the order. Okay, and then it will immediately, after 2 hours, they usually get the orders every 2 hours. So they get all the orders that has been accumulated for 2 hours and immediately create manufacturing planning or production planning and scheduling. See, factory planner. Yeah, so they immediately from the order, they will immediately create production planning and scheduling.
including yours, are...
And this is actually the needed materials for all the orders. Okay.
sequenced into the production schedule every 2 hours. Every manufacturing center across the globe has a network of Dell servers that act as the brains of the facility. They receive orders from our order entry system. The servers keep track of work in process, and associates serialize parts with the unique serial number of each machine. Unique software images are stored for download onto customers' machines as they move through the process. This portion of Custom Factory Integration, CFI, allows our customers to eliminate software installation upon receipt. Our build-to-order process generates...
Okay, so remember the production planning and scheduling. There will be a production order. Obviously, that has been taken care of. But since Dell doesn't have a warehouse, they don't have material requisition. Instead, every 2 hours after they create production planning and scheduling, they will send their materials requisition or materials requirement to their suppliers. They'll usually build their factory within 10 or 15 minutes drive from their suppliers. So it's equal to material requisition from the warehouse. So they'll send it to their supplier, and then their supplier, like what you see here, will deliver the component directly to Dell. So that is why Dell doesn't have warehouses for components.
requests for material required for customers' orders every 2 hours, during which the material is delivered to the factory and built to order. Since there are no warehouses, part inventories are low. Our process is unique in that we serialize at...
Okay, so remember the other document that I made during the production planning, which is move ticket. This is actually the move ticket. So Dell created what their version of move ticket is called service tag in form of a barcode. So this is actually quite a few years old because they haven't invented the QR code or popularized the QR code yet, but similar principle. Okay, so this is the identification. Why? Because each computer produced will be different. Each customer will customize their order. So they'll need to make sure that the order being built as per customer request or specification. Okay, let's continue.
the front of our line. A unique identifier, the computer's name or service tag number, is created and printed onto a label in both human...
Okay, so this is the move ticket. It will move along the production line or assembly line, and each Dell employee, when they scan this tag, service tag, they will understand what need to do with this order, like what kind of processor they want, what kind of graphics card they want, how much hard drive they need, how much RAM they need, things like that.
readable and machine-readable barcode format. The service tag number is used throughout the life of the machine and is a basis for our quality system. Scanning the service tag indicates to our teammates which components to...
Okay, so when this lady here scan the service tag, the computer will show her what components need to be put inside this bin. This bin, one bin, represent one unit of order from customer. So how many hard drive, what type of hard drive, okay? And each component will have their own serial number. So for computer A, there will be hard drive from Seagate or Western Digital. They will have AMD processor. They will have NVIDIA video card. Okay. So with this and the serial related to the service tag, the move ticket, Dell could track the quality of their product. It means if, say, a lot of complaints about NVIDIA graphic card with Dell computer, then Dell will know that the problem is not them, but the problem is NVIDIA. So they can, have business dealing with NVIDIA, asking for compensation or something like that.
Place into a reusable protective container or tote. By the time the tote has traveled the entire length of the kitting line, all the parts required for the customer's unique machine are in place. The last step of the kitting process is matching a chassis with the parts in the tote. The first action after the completed kit arrives in the build area is to scan the service tag. This scan delivers unique instructions based on our customer's requirements to the builder's control panel that guides them through the assembly process step by step. As our teammates assemble the machine, they can scan the...
So again, the service tag and also the serial number is not only for product identification. So my order will not be mistaken with the other customer order, but also for quality control. Say, for example, they scan the service tag and found out in their computer screen that this particular computer have should have 16 gigabytes of RAM, but they only found 8 gigabytes of RAM. So they know that there was something wrong. So they can rectify that mistake. Okay. Instead of just assembling it and send it to the customer and then customer complain. Okay, that's much more irritable.
Serial number of each part to associate the part serial number with the service tag number of that machine. This simple act allows Dell and our customers to have a complete history over the life of the machine, enabling a process to drive quality accountability throughout the supply chain. Since the system service tag number is tracked throughout the manufacturing facility, the brains of the facility take over and test the machine to ensure all components are present and operating as expected. After this phase, the customer-requested software, including custom images, is downloaded onto the machine. Final testing finishes the process, and the machine is then transported to the boxing area. This efficient use of machine-to-machine communication, coupled with several patented process innovations, ensures a consistently high-quality product. After the machine has been built and tested, it is transported to a boxing line and the service tag is scanned upon arrival.
Okay. So, that's basically the end of the video that I want to show you. So, if you remember, the service tag is not only used for move ticket or identification for product during the production, but it's also for warranty. Okay. So when Dell send the product, their finished product to customer, the customer will use that service tag for warranty claim. Okay. Let me give you the example for that. Okay. So this is the ordering form. Okay, so this is one of the service tag. So this is the service tag GHHT4B3. Okay. So when somebody key in this service tag into Dell support website, this is the support part. They will immediately provide the customer with any driver or updates, they can show the customers warranty. Okay, when it will be expired, and it can be extended if they wish. Okay, they also can see, for example, this one, the original configuration of Dell computer when it leaves the factory. For example, this, I don't know what this is, to be honest. It's probably, it's called HFD3T part number and the description. Okay, and this H1R74. So if there is a problem with this, Dell can see what's wrong. Is it because of manufacturing process, their incompetent employee perhaps making mistake, or it's from the supplier? If it's from the supplier, then Dell can claim and ask the supplier to fix the problem. Okay, because as customer, they only knew that Dell gave them the computer. They doesn't care whether Intel make a mistake and give Dell's bad processor. They paid Dell, so they asked Dell to fix the problem. In turn, Dell will ask Intel, for example, to fix the problem. Okay, so that's service tech. Any question? Okay, I guess that's it for today. See you on Monday on campus, and have a nice weekend. Okay, good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.